Hello, good morning, or good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this new episode of the Fundraising Insider podcast. Today, I am joined with a four-time founder, venture partner, and advisor, soon book author. That's something we discussed in the pre-recording. And there are so many things I could say about you, but I think it's the best that if you introduce yourself with four very basic questions. What's your name? What did you study? What is your company or companies? And what is your role in those?
Okay, thank you. First of all, thanks, Thibaut, for inviting me to this interview. I'm really happy to share with you my knowledge and my experience. My name is Leon Eisen. I'm PhD in quantum physics. It was many times ago, 25 years ago. So my first part of my life was dedicated to the science. Then second part of my life was dedicated to building products like engineer. And I was working with many startups and companies and R&D and technology development. And in 2008 at 9, in the middle of the crisis, I created my first company and raised immediately $1 million that nobody believed it could happen, but it happened. Middle of the crisis. It was the start of amazing journey that I'm still in. And we created the world's first medical wearable monitor that is FDA-cleared. So, it's today you can think about like commodity, Apple, Hope, others, but they're wellness, not medical. So even today you can number wearable monitors that you can use in hospital like medical monitor instead of some standalone big devices. And the first monitor we created in Oxyton Medical. And despite the fact I was leading for 12 years this company, and today my partner is leading this company, co-founder, and I'm still with them, chairman of this company, and also help this company to piggyback on what we grew during my tenure there. And then 4 years ago, I decided to move. I call it dark side of the business to become a venture capitalist because I learned a lot when I raising. For Oxyton, I raised about $20 million and more for other companies I have. And I decided to get to venture capital business and join Silicon Valley venture capital fund called Network VC. That is, we have about more than 100 companies portfolio. We have unicorns, exits, and we have the whole ecosystem. So club, meeting, competitions like unicorn battle and unicorn competition locally in each country. So unicorn pitch.
Right.
That is the winner goes to Silicon Valley for unicorn battle and gets some very good winner gets a lot from Network VC. So this is my approach like venture capitalist. And at the same time, I continued like entrepreneur because you cannot leave entrepreneurship. It's in your heart. It's yours. You create it like this.
You
And so
live
I
as an
created more
entrepreneur.
companies. Yeah, I created my venture studio. Now I have about 4 companies and I expect to grow where I invested by myself. I co-founded with technical co-founders who develop technologies and the CEO. And this is how I continue like entrepreneur. And I wrote the book that I invite you to check this. It will be on Amazon, pre-order it in a week or two. It's called Invisible Game, the secret of term sheet magnets, but it's not about term sheet terms and something like this. It's all about invisible game. It's all about non-verbal communication between founder and investor. And it's very interesting because not a lot of books like this, usually all the books about fundraising are mechanical. Take these, go there and use these terms, be careful, your business model, how to build, business plan, how to build. This is not about it. This is about how to create dynamics between founder and investor in a way that investors are chasing you. And this dynamic is totally psychological, based on your brains.
So it's a lot more founder dynamic than just following a plan. Of course, there's aspects of fundraising that is following a plan. There are things to do, things not to do, but the package in which it comes, which is the nonverbal, which is your attitude. In the pre-recording, you were mentioning the importance of the first impression, where if a founder looks down or looks not so confident, if they answer too fast or if they're too witty because they think by answering fast they show they know. But it also shows for you that, well, they don't necessarily take the time to reflect on the question, on the deeper meaning, maybe the second meaning of the question. And can you tell us more? So this will be the topic of part one. We usually have this show in three parts, but I believe here it makes more sense to have two. We'll do the first one about those unspoken, and I think this is really interesting. We always try to bring atypical profiles on the show and have things that are not so standard. I mean, if we wanted to talk about AI companies and American VCs, I think there's tons of content out there. So I'm really glad that you came in with this idea of talking about the things that people don't talk about. And the second part will be a bit faster pace, although we'll take time to reflect and answer. And it will be very simple, yes, no, or option A, option B. And then we'll have time to discuss those over. Maybe some of those will be pre-answered in first part. So we'll see, maybe I have to skip some of the questions I prepared. But yeah, really looking forward to this. So tell us about, we'll go chronologically. Tell us about the first impression. What is the first nonverbals, the first signals that you see, the nonverbal signals when someone either enters in a call or enters in a room if they're meeting in person? What are the things that you lock in? What are the things that you're really looking for?
I think that one of the most important for founder and should be self-confidence. Maybe it's not everybody believe in something he's doing, but self-confidence is the most important. And this is what I can recognize in 30 seconds. How founder is confident about what he is doing. And the main problem that usually founder in one age end that is not so much confident and doesn't know how to deliver the knowledge. And the other side, maybe it's 80% of founders overconfident. And you can read it in a pitch all the time, specifically for founders who are first-time founders and at pre-seed, the seed stage, because they don't have about a lot of traction. So what they do? They cover the lack of traction by claims that are not proven. So they want to look very confident and they think that confidence is somehow like a virus, contagious. And so I look
If you wear it,
confident in
then it will give to the
yes,
investor.
exactly.
Okay.
But it's totally not, because I start asking questions. So why do you make this claim? Why this claim in your deck? Why you say that you are first in the market? Or why do you say that you plan to make $1 billion in 5 years? So what the assumption? And they behave like teenagers usually. So instead of listening, they move to another investor, and then they surprise themselves that they cannot raise. What happens? We have a very good idea. So it's a big problem. So overconfidence is a huge problem for the founder. But underconfidence, I don't know how to correctly to say it. So lack of confidence, also the same problem. And maybe if it's a good product, good project around A, maybe we can invest and replace founder like CEO by some professional CEO. I don't know. But if founder is overconfidence, that's a big problem, because like teenager, he doesn't accept anything. And this is the first impression. Second impression, coming from the first impression, I immediately recognize if founder is working with some advisors. Immediately. Because
Okay.
it's very important for founders, and specifically first time founder, to have somebody with fresh mind. Because why founder so self-confident? He is attached, he's baby, so he should be detached from this, but he can't. So he needs somebody who is detached and can have a fresh look on what founder is doing. So avoid all these claims and something like this. So it's some balance between founder who is crazy about his company and somebody with experience who can cool down
Right.
this founder. That's very important. And usually people start to hire advisors at round A, B. They understand they need it. Round C, you ask, wow, this guy got company to round C. He's great. Why he is using free advisors around? That's why he brought company to round C. But in the beginning, they think they know everything because they don't know what they don't know. They fail, and for the startup, time is the most important than cash. Much more important than cash.
Two kind of follow-up questions. So first one, we'll talk about the first part you said, which is confidence. You said confidence is not contagious, but somehow is not like a virus, but somehow the founder needs to put you or the investor in general in confidence. So how is it that they can transfer this confidence to you without doing the whole virus trick of I'm too confident and it's going to work on you? How is it that you propagate? How is it that you turn confidence into, say, a healthy virus and not just a bluff? Like, how do you transfer confidence the right way?
By de-risking.
De-risking.
So you should de-risk. De-risk. You should show that you marketing, you de-risk product, you de-risk all these metrics we have. So even you don't have revenue yet, but you should show that you know how to operate to de-risk all these stuff. So because what's the problem investor identify immediately? Investor think about risk. And in terms of risk, so my first question, I don't invest in this company. I am going to look for some void in his presentation. No, it doesn't happen. When I'm talking to the founder, I'm all myself for the founder. I'm looking for how to invest. But at the same time, I recognize risks immediately. And if I have some risk, pitch doesn't go from my croc brain anymore to my logical brain or social brain. As you know, it's what I wrote in my book. We have three brains. An investor also has three brains. And when I see risk, if I am afraid of something, and by the way, for venture capital, it's very important because venture capital risk LP's money. So if I would be angel, it's a different story. I risk my money. But when I risk somebody else's money, specifically, I'm very, very tuned
Risk
to
averse.
some risk averse, yeah. And if founder understand this, founder start to pitch specifically not to show the risk. Start from this, and in this case, my chemicals in my brain do not against, and I can start to ask some logical questions about this. But if it doesn't happen, it doesn't go to my logical brain, and I don't. That's why sometimes founders experience some silly questions from investor because these questions are generated in the croc brain because the investor doesn't show any risk.
So you mentioned a lot about risking and de-risking. What is de-risking? From the perspective that I have as a ex-founder and now working with pitch deck creators, we try to introduce this notion of de-risking inside the deck is the ability to pre-answer or to show that we are aware of things beyond the obvious. So if we're talking about sales, then it's going to be not just how much can we sell, but how we can sell it. What are the different channels? What if the first one fails? Do we have a backup plan? So how would you define de-risking? Is it mapping? Is it pre-answering questions? Like, how is it that an investor feels like, okay, I feel like the project has been de-risked? What makes you tick that box in your mind to then move to the next part of the investment process?
First of all, I evaluate assumptions.
Right.
And second, how these assumptions are presented. For example, let's take go-to-market strategy. Most of the pitch decks have a slide about GTM. And what you can find in this strategy, you don't see strategy. You see the list of go-to-market tools I'm going to use, like conferences, like meetings, like LinkedIn. This is not strategy. This is a list of tools I'm going to use. Strategy is connected to your capital you're asking. And what I see, for example, if this is some B2C company and they say, okay, our market like this strategy, here's a beachhead. And we are going to start to go into this beachhead within the next half of year. And what we expect, what kind of milestones we expect. And this is reflected in our capital Excel, where we spend this amount of money specifically to get to this milestone in go-to-market strategy. So if you explain this way, but not going, okay, I'm going to conference, it's random, but you can say, I'm going to this conference and I plan to meet with specifically people which are responsible for purchasing in this specific industry, this niche. and I'm already connected to them, and I already created meeting with them. Not just I go randomly to conference to meet with people randomly in a restaurant and start talking. So something that I cannot reject. Some assumptions that very stable. I would say very stable assumptions because straightforward and backed by the data.
So you would say that de-risking is making sure that you don't only cover the first layer of information, but also have a plan for the structure, how you get to that point, the secondary, third layer of questions. I used to say, and I would like to have your opinion on this, that de-risking successfully is making sure that when the investor puts money in the company, he can go to bed at night thinking that whatever happens to the company, I know those guys have the answer, either the answer to it or have a plan to tackle the problem. Is this also how you define it?
Yeah, you're right. So they should have plan. They should reflect it in the milestones, how much money they're gonna use, what kind of people they're gonna use. So all is around the milestones. So if you have specific milestones and you can prove that you can reach this milestone, and you can prove your operational capability, that's very important because I want to see that you're capable. You can show any plans, but I want to see that you are capable. How do I see that you are capable? I have specific questions around it. I see the previous work. I see how they connected to me. Yeah? So if you send just message, okay, that's nice. We developed XYZ for such niche, it doesn't work this way. Yeah. You should show how to develop, you should show discipline, you should show operational capabilities. This de-risk very much. Operation capabilities, this is what behind getting to the milestone.
So this also maybe covers the importance of warm introduction versus cold introduction. The problem of a cold introduction is not that it's cold, but is that the warm introduction shows that you show the operational capacity of going out there, building the network, and getting to that warm outreach. And that's the whole value of it, rather than just saying, oh, it's a warm, so it's better than it's cold. It's what it says behind. It de-risks the fact that this founder is capable of creating a network, of getting out there, of gathering the information, of putting the resources behind it.
Yeah, sure.
For you, what you said about de-risking, does it reflect in the meaning, the difference between a warm introduction and a cold introduction, in the sense that a warm introduction doesn't only de-risk the fact that if you receive the introduction of a founder from someone you trust, the trust follows, but also that it shows and it de-risks the fact that this founder has the operational maturity or capacity to create a network, to get to you through a channel is not as easy as just dropping an email.
It's a very difficult question. I wrote some manual how to make a cold introduction. I don't care about cold or warm. I remember Anderson said that he's answering only warm introduction. I don't think about it because, if you send the message that you have $5 million in revenue that grew for the last half of year, believe me, no any warm introduction is needed. So yes, it's very important to have network, and this is what I'm doing. When I got the message, I look LinkedIn, at least behavior on LinkedIn or Instagram of this founder. That's very important, and it tells me something because I don't want him building his network on my money. This is first. But at the same time, from my experience, having warm introduction, what you have, smile rejection. So people reject you with smile, being very nice because you came from his friend or something like this. And who didn't reject it? I saw a lot of companies where investors just lost their money because of warm introduction, belief beyond the reality. And this is first. The second point is there are 3 points actually. Second point, why I get rejection, even having warm introduction, because my company is not ready, not fundable yet or investable. So I built so-called fundable operation system where I help startups to become fundable and founders to become fundable. That's a big point. And many founders come to me and say, "Oh, can you? I know this is even in warm or cold, and doesn't matter. The same. Please help me connect me to other investors in this niche." I say, "No, I don't know you. So I should put my reputation to offer your product on your company to some investor if I don't know if your company is fundable. Let's see if it's fundable. Okay. come to my accelerator, Fundable operation system. Let's install it. Let's see how it works. And then I will introduce 2,000 investors. Doesn't matter. That's okay. But I don't know. And the third point that many founders, they think that if they build the pitch deck, they're fundable already. It's not. I wrote the 5 forces of mastery of fundability. It's a very complicated thing. It's a mapping of these 5 forces. Can lately to tell about this a little bit more. And if you are not there, I can introduce you to 1,000 investors, and you will get 1,000 rejections. So you will lose your time. I will lose my reputation. Why should I do it?
In a way, you're introducing, once the company is funding ready, you're nearly proud you want to introduce this company to other investors because you're sharing a project that has the capability to work, to have an impact out there. So that makes sense.
Exactly.
So we started with the first impression. We talked about de-risking. We talked about the first impression, how it matters, the emotion that you convey, the confidence. What else matters in the unseen? What else, when someone pitches to you, other than the confidence aspect, is there anything else that you look that is, again, invisible? What are the invisible things that you pay attention to that people don't necessarily think that you're looking for?
Could you a little bit focus more on this question?
I think there's many things that are more or less visible. So I think that when you mention the fact whether a founder comes at you and at the start he's looking down, it looks invisible, but in the sense it's visible. You can see it. It's a physical expression.
Yes.
Some things are invisible, but maybe audible, and people don't realize they say it, but you perceive it. So maybe the tone, maybe the use of certain words, of certain expressions, the way that information is presented. Is that something that you pay attention to as much as the data? So, for example, could you have a founder that presents the same project with the same revenue, say they make a 5 million euro on year, etc., like you mentioned before, but one pitches it in a certain way and the other one pitches it in another way, and somehow you'll invest in the first one and not the second one? What could make the difference between those two with the exact same project?
I dedicated the full chapter to tonality, how to speak. That's very important.
Right.
Because your tonality gives some, I would say, accent or underline what you're going to say. So you can just miss very important word because your tonality doesn't support this word. And I miss it because you didn't put this word bold, I would say. So you should, tonality let you to make some words bold.
Highlighted.
Okay, highlight. This way, like investor, I understand exactly where you're going, what you're going to do, and take your business much better to understand. So I understand the business much better.
So you'd say it's not just about the information, but the way you present it, the way you break it down and make it super easy to assimilate. Okay.
Yeah,
in that
how
sense,
you deliver this information is very important.
Right. So now we'll take the invisible aspect and put it in the visible format, which is what we do at Pitch Deck Creators, creating the deck, but also, of course, the strategy behind. Would you say that a good pitch deck can serve as a support to know how to deliver, how to structure, and how to emphasize some words, as you said? Is it a good tool for maybe a founder that doesn't have the pitching experience, maybe is not as comfortable speaking, but if he has this good support that runs him through how to present it, do you think this is a good tool to have? If it is good, are there other tools that a founder can use to train or to get better at delivery of how to break this down? How does one improve on that?
So founder actually sells his startup for investor in exchange of equity, right?
Right.
So, for example, if founder want to understand how to make sales pitch, tonality, all this, I recommend 7th level. 7th level, this is an amazing book, and follow the author of this in YouTube. You can learn a lot about how to sell your company, not your product, your company. And the big difference that when you sell your product, you're talking about features of the product. When you sell your company is a product with you, with all your staff, with everything. And it's much more difficult to sell the company as a product with all departments. You have show balance between everything than to sell product with features.
Is it because a
The
product...
product, you solve the problem. Selling the company,
Yes, okay.
you don't solve the problem. So it's much more difficult.
if you want to boil it down to something very simple, the problem that you're trying to solve when you sell your company is the investor problem. They raised money from LPs and they need to make more money out of it. So that's the problem, and the solution is just to be able to grow the company, to make it big and sell it to have money in the end.
Right.
But this problem is a lot more complex once you break it down in everything it needs to
And
assemble to get to this point.
It's also extended in time, because if you sell the product, I can take the product, use it immediately, and solve my problem immediately. When you sell your company in exchange of equity to investor will get this in 5-7 years.
Right.
So it's much more difficult. You don't have immediate value. If you are not Anthropic and raising new round about $10 billion, and people
Makes sense.
really see that they have value immediately because it's growing every day. Yeah, that's okay. That's good. Or if you go into the stock exchange and buy some stock and shares, and they grow every day, you have value immediately. But in startup, you don't have immediate value.
Right. Earlier, you mentioned the advisors and what they do for founders, especially when it's first-time founders. I didn't really understand whether you thought that advisors was a good thing. You are an advisor yourself, so how is it that you said that you can immediately spot when a founder has an advisor with him? And is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? Should the founder work on hiding the fact that they have an advisor? Or if they're a first-time founder, is it completely okay to not know certain things, but show that the maturity of they understand, they don't know everything, and that's why they have an advisor? Is this transparency and not knowing everything something that you're looking for? Or are you looking mainly for maybe second-time founders, etc.? How is it that having an advisor really helps there?
Good question. Let's start from Zuckerberg.
Right.
Why he is still CEO of this company for these 20 years plus, right? Why? A lot of companies change CEO 3 times, 4 times, and he still manage this company. Not only because he still possesses a huge amount of the votes in the board. Not because of this. Because he hired one of the best advisors, CEO advisors in Silicon Valley in the beginning. And he learned how to become such a good CEO that nobody could replace him. And everybody knew about it. So it's your huge plus, like investor, if you hire advisor, good advisor, and you share it with investor, with everybody. It's okay, guys, I'm learning every day. I have great advisor, what I learn from him, and everything, what you see now, how I present, my tonality, how I build a company, how I build operations, how I build business processes. I learn from this advisor because I don't know. I am the first time or second time founder, and I never built it before. So how do I know this? So this is the great if founder has advisor, but it should be good advisor. Sometimes founders come with advisory board. I'm not talking about professional advisory board. If you're in a pharma, you have 10 professors in pharma among advisors. It's a different story. But there is another problem here. Some founders present advisors, and I wrote a post on LinkedIn about it. And my question, when last time you talked to this advisor?
2 months ago.
Huge percentage of founder answer, oh, half of year ago. So why this advisor is here? Oh, it gives me some
Credibility.
credibility, exactly. So in this case, founder loses all credibility. And again, in the beginning, they behave like teenagers. I know everything. I don't need anybody. But smart founders start from advisors from the beginning, because if they're trying to learn something during the fundraising process, they lose time because they get rejection. They will learn it, definitely. In my time, I couldn't find good advisor, because in my time when I started, it wasn't a lot of people making an M&A and having good experience in startup management. So I had to learn it by myself, despite the fact I talked to people. I had a very good network of advisors, but not the level we have advisors today. Some advisors having 5 exits, 5 companies created, building. It didn't happen before. So it's a very good time to piggyback on all this knowledge. Another interesting what I'm doing, and this is what I'm doing in all my companies. Usually people say, hire some professionals like developers, like marketing, like all these, and pay crazy money to them. It's totally wrong because you have to grow your employee inside the company. So what I do and what I suggest to, and this is what I ask founders as well, if they do this: hire a young guy, low salary, and hire advisor, fractional, and pay also very small money to advisor because once a week. Together, it will be 3 times less than if you hire somebody that is very, very good. But this young guy using this advisor will grow very quickly. Yeah, will grow very quickly. And you will have your team, not some guy 40 plus who is very rigid and doesn't play good in your team. You have guy 25 that is very flexible and ready to learn and grow. It's totally different.
Flexible,
Approach.
I think, is the right word here. So the founder has to show that they're flexible, that they can learn, that they're willing to learn, and they also have to recognize what they don't know, because if you don't know, then you is the first step. Admitting you don't know is the first step to learning. Is accepting you don't know, then accepting that you need to learn and that you can learn it from someone else.
You should have 2 type of advisors, yeah? One advisor for your employer and one advisor for you.
Would you say, so you use the word advisor here. Is mentor a better word for it? Or is it really, what is the difference between the two in your mind? Or do those words kind of mean the same? It's just the way they work or who they work with that differs. Because you mentioned technical advisors that are your professors if you are a medical company. And then you have the advisor to the founder. And then you have the team advisor growing the team, etc. How do they differ? How do you classify those?
No, first of all, as you said, it's technical advisor, and another advisor is a business advisor. So 2 different type of advisors. But again, you can there are 3 type of help to founder. It's using mentorship, advisory, or consulting. Consulting, where you do it by yourself for advisor for the founder. So if you're a consultant, you create something that the advisor is looking for, so an advisor use it. So some report, some something. Okay, this is work of consultant. Work of advisor just to help to solve the problems around business development and all this stuff. So you ask, I answer. Together we build something. But actually, it's your job to listen to advisor and implement what advisor told you.
Okay.
Mentor is usually free, not paid. And mentorship, it's like, let's guide you how to do this better, how to do that better. So you come to me, you ask question, okay, tomorrow I have the meeting with investor, or how to behave with this investor. Let's do it this way. So it's a mentor. It's called the mentorship.
Right. So there can be an overlap between advisory and mentorship, but advisory is more about the things, about the concrete tasks to do. So key elements that will bring the business forward, whereas the mentorship is more about the format, how to present it, how to implement it. So would you say advisory is more about the what and the mentor is about the how?
No, mentorship is what, and advisor is how. Most mentorship is guiding you. Advisor is help you to get to this goal.
Okay. I see the difference. Thank you. This, I believe, is part one. All those invisible things, the mentorship, the behavior. I'm really happy we tackled those because it's not the standard thing that is being discussed. So thank you so much. So we're now moving to this part two, which is the this or that format. So I will ask you very, very simple. Option A, option B. You tell me which one you believe is better or you prefer. And after which we will take a bit more time to decorticate this, to maybe dive into it. If you want to change some answer, we can change that as well. So if you're ready, 3, 2, 1, deck first or founder story first?
Founder story first.
Traction or team?
Team. It depends when. In the beginning, traction. But then you check the team. This is how it works. Even if you're having good traction, if team is not good.
The team is there to execute on the traction, right? Lead investor or syndicate of investors?
Lead investor.
Seed stage or Series A? Which one is harder to raise for you?
Series A.
Do you prefer a team with a solo founder or do you prioritize co-founders?
No, I don't like solo founders. Co-founders.
You recently mentioned about venture building. You're also a VC. Which one is more exciting for you, venture building or just investing the cash?
No priority, both sides of one coin.
Do you prefer building first and raise later, or first raise and then build?
First, build then raise. I like if a founder do bootstrapping as long as possible.
Is it better to follow your gut feeling or to follow guidelines like a strict plan?
It starts always from gut feeling. And if founder get through this, then logic.
Right. I think that's it for this first segment. It's actually very interesting. Some of them you actually included both of the propositions in your answer. For example, when we mentioned the team and the traction, you said, well, you need to have traction, but if you don't have the right team to execute behind, then it's not good. There are many founders, I believe, that think that if they have the right team, they can get the traction no matter what. And I believe there's probably people out there who get a lot of traction because their products sound good, but if the team is not there to execute, then it's not going to be worth it. How do you read this yourself? Which one do you read first? Is there an importance? You said first for the traction and then for the team. How do those conjugate each other?
First of all, definitely the first thing we'll look at the traction or some shaping of the traction if you don't have traction, how you shape about traction, future traction, or you had something before. And the second, definitely we look at the team. But again, everything depends. If you come to me, you were the founder of the company sold for $1 billion with some idea, I look at you, not at the traction. Because your traction is more than your company traction. So I would say like this, your traction is your brand. Company traction, something you're building for a company. So if you have your brand, that's why I'm looking for a LinkedIn for the brand of founder. How founder created his brand. Because today, company, not a good brand. It's you behind the company is a good brand. So you can also show your traction and it helps. Team, if you, again, it's not every, I cannot answer, or traction or team, what I look at. I look both. And if I have huge brand of the team, for the team, I take it and continue. If I have a good traction for the company, I take it and continue. And then I look at their team or at the traction.
You said you didn't like solo founders. How is that so?
I didn't hear you. I don't hear you well.
You said that you don't like solo founders and you preferred co-founders. Why is that?
Because we're living in a risky world. And if something happened to you, I lose all my money.
Is that the only reason, or what are the other reasons for that, for preferring co-founders?
No, solo founder is a good stuff. Why not? Again, I invest not my money to my friend.
Right.
In this case, my friend, solo founder, that's nice. I'm going to help him. I support him. No, I invest LP's money, venture capitalist. And I have to consider all the risk around.
Right. We'll move to the second section.
Okay. And if airplane down with this founder if airplane is down with founder on there, that's a big risk.
Or even if they just fall ill and they're incapable of working for a week, then that's already a week loss because there's no one else to pick up behind.
Yeah.
We'll move to the second part of those faster segments, the yes or no. So again, let's get started. Have you ever funded a company based just on the founder and ignoring everything else? In the sense, has it ever happened to you to invest in a company because the branding of the founder was so impressive that everything else, even if it was not optimal, you believe the founder was really the right person to build this?
Yeah, sometimes brand of the founder is very important. But usually, if you have very good brand, you're doing stealth startup. And I got a lot of pitch deck from stealth startup where founder sold his company for $2 billion and now they're raising $500 million without any revenue.
Okay, how does that work?
The founder of OpenAI just created new company and raised a couple of billions just for their idea.
And why is that so?
It happens all the time. People invest in, investor believe that this guy knows what he's doing. Huge experience.
Okay, so we come back to the
and
branding
money,
aspect.
Because they invest their money as well. They invest their money as well. So I'm investor. I don't give you money 100%. I give you 50% of money. Maybe you having great exit invested half of money as well. But it's a totally different league.
Okay, of course.
So it's interesting subject, but not for first-time founders. So mostly for founders having a huge brand by themselves.
Do you think founders know what investors want most of the time, or a lot of them don't know really how an investor works?
They don't know. They totally don't know. 99% they don't know. That's why they start their pitch like this. And this is a big problem for investors. We developed XYZ. This is how they start pitch. I don't care what you develop at all. If I don't know context, if I don't know the problem, I don't care because everybody develops something. Million people develop something. Why should I read what you have developed? I'm not interested at all. Unless you develop the engine to get us to the Mars. Okay, that's interesting. Yeah. But usually we developed, I don't know, some layer, AI layer for this that does that. No, so I don't care about it. And this is a big problem. Even every day I got 100 DMs in LinkedIn and mails. Everybody starts from we developed XYZ. Why? But why not to start in a $100 billion market? There is one very important niche that wasn't solved yet. I see everything immediately. I know your niche. I know the size of the market. I understand your go-to-market strategy, everything immediately. And specifically to close this problem at this niche, we developed XYZ and validate.
And that actually answers the investor need, because the need of the investor is to make money on the company. And they think that, well, if those guys know why they're making the product, there's a good explanation of why it will sell. And if it sells, then the company gains value, etc., etc. So focus more on why rather than what. Beautiful.
Exactly. So I'm not interested what, I'm interested in why. I'm interested in why. Your why. Like Simon Sinek.
Simon Sinek?
Yeah, he started from why. Why?
Right. It's a good way to start the conversation. Just why. It's a good one.
Exactly.
Has it ever happened to you that you pass on the company simply because the pitch deck is not clear?
Every time. I don't have time to check the pitch deck very deep. I don't have time. And if I see immediately some problems there, I close the deck, that's all, and never get back to it.
Is the length of the pitch deck sometimes a problem? You open, you see 15 or 20 slides, and you think, oh, this is too much. I'm just not going to read it.
It depends. Again, if it's early stage, if I see more than 12 pages, it means a lot of explanation about idea I'm not interested in. If it's company at round A, B having a lot of traction, definitely it could be 20 pages.
So for early stage, interesting.
So it depends on the stage.
In the early stage, you say that, so 12 slides could be, or say a 13, 14, 15 can be too much. Why is it too much? And why do you not care about this level of information at this point?
Because, it's all information is usually claims. You can explain what you do in one slide. Okay, maximum 2 slides if you want to show how it works. That's all. It's about the product. And instead, people do 10 slides with all claims that are not proven. We're going to do these. So all these wishing they put in a slide, or wishful thinking they put in their slide deck. And this is a big problem.
How is it that you know it's just wishful thinking and not facts? Or so you would say that from the first couple of slides, you can already guess whether the founder is just trying to convey a bunch of claims or wishful thinking, as you were saying, versus hard facts or actual strategy to find out about this? Is this something that you detect in the first 2-3 slides and you know, okay, this guy is going in the right direction or is not going in the right direction?
Yes, exactly. This is what I see. And based on my Fundables operation system, I developed the agent that automatically take this slide deck and validate it and give me full report about this slide.
So you created your own.
Sake of time, I even don't open the slide unless report shows the good business.
So this is a tool that you developed yourself?
Yes.
Without spoiling the content of the tool, because that's, I get, a bit of your IP. What are the key elements that this tool does to tell you whether yes or no it's a good business? What are like the top 3 things that it's looking into to evaluate this?
It considers the slide deck on 5 forces of fundability.
Okay.
It's a founder-investor dynamics. It's traction to conviction. It's a narrative power, how it's written. It's deal architecture. if they understand what they want. And capital planning, understand, as I said before, they connect, for example, go-to-market strategy to their capital planning. And this is 5 elements that I'm using to evaluate the deck. That's all.
Right.
And then I got some result about it. So this claim is not proven. This is too much claim. This is narrative power. So story that doesn't sell itself, for example, or can they control, because in this control the room, I would say. So am I interested to read this slide or not?
It's interesting. How do you put, because you said you wrote an entire article about those 5 forces of the driving forces of investing, is how do you turn principles like this into a tool that analyzes this? Is this just analyzing the text? Is it also analyzing the structure of the slides, the way, the design of it? How is it that you turn this decision-making capability that is very human into an AI tool?
Yeah, the last thing I'm thinking about is design. I don't care about design. If you go to the slide by Airbnb, it's no design totally. So design is not what's important here. But it's good to have good design, but it's not important. The most important is narrative. The most important that they understand their competitive mode. They can give some competition table. That is superficial. You don't understand anything. You just compare features. A lot of slides compare features, for example. I don't care about feature. I care about competitive mode. How you compare these. How you compare the fundamentals of your business. For example, your business can be prompt or task oriented or can be system oriented. So is it a system, fundamental system inside, or it's just based on some prompts or something like this, for example? So yeah, it's very important. So you should engineer your slide and your business in a way. So slide deck just reflects your understanding your business. That's very important.
Okay, so it's how you turn the invisible into visible.
Yes, exactly. And many people, founders, they don't understand their business.
Okay, and so you created this tool to help you understand whether the people understand their business.
Something like this, you're right. So actually, if a lot of claim that they gonna say too much, for example, we're gonna have $1 billion revenue in 5 years, it means they don't understand their business.
Is this because the projections are too superficial or just invented because they think, oh, investor want to see big numbers, so we're going to put big numbers? So is it better to have a 15 or 20 million revenue in 5 years, but with a very solid path to get there and very well de-risked, with the potential that it goes even higher, versus putting higher numbers, but with less actual backing to it and more assumptions?
Yes, exactly. Because, for example, every time I see the slide, we develop technology, and this year we are going to this market, some, next year some, or another some, and next year another some. Very good. And then I go to capital planning, and I see that it's very small capital is dedicated for this. If you go to one some, specific niche, right, with your business, with your product, you can become viral there because people know each other in this niche, and you can piggyback on word of mouth, and you can grow very, very fast. But not, you're going to move to another niche and start from the beginning again with people who don't have any connection to the first niche, and word of mouth doesn't work. So you have to invest more money to the second niche without exploring in a full the first niche. And this is what founders don't understand at all. They think that if they move quickly with milestones from one niche to another niche, or from one product to another product, or from one feature to another feature, this is what create huge numbers. Because, okay, this sold 100 million, another sold 100 million, another sold, they come to billion. But it doesn't work this way.
So what you want to see is the financials need to reflect the realistic needs of converting your words into reality. So in a way, this is the narrative you're talking about, is that the funding, the things they're asking for, is a direct reflection, a direct translation or derivation of what they say they will achieve.
Yes, exactly. For example, you created device that measure blood pressure, for example, right? And everybody needs. So you take the market of blood pressure measurements, multi-billion market, all these devices here and all this stuff, and say, okay, I'm going to penetrate there. So I'm going to have $1 billion in revenue in 5 years. But it doesn't work this way because there is a huge friction to penetrate. People get used to another. It's very difficult to penetrate into this market and to replace conventional devices, for example, right? This is first. So how you gonna start? If you're gonna go to whole hospitals in the United States, you should do in each hospital, you have to do your own trials because each hospital has different protocols. Okay, so and usually you build your forecast that you go to whole hospital at the same time. Okay, it doesn't work. So what you can do, location, for example, I don't know, Florida hospitals, where protocols are almost same, similar, or you can go to one medical system having 25, 30 hospitals where same protocol is using and explore this system and sell there because each hospital will tell, each physician will tell another physician from another hospital, use it. I like it very much. But physician with this system doesn't talk with physician from another medical system. Kaiser Permanente physician doesn't talk to Texas Medical Center physician.
Okay.
They don't like each other times.
So opting for a place where the propagation of your product is faster is more important than just the size of the space itself. So
exactly
the one with the least barriers.
Yeah, because traction, I like more how fast you're growing than how big the market.
Because it shows you understand the growth dynamics and then you can replicate this again.
Exactly.
Great.
Exactly.
Leon, thank you so much for all of those insights. I think we covered so many things. We covered the market, we covered the founders, we covered the invisible parts at the start, and then we went to more visible aspects.
We can write new book about it, yeah.
Sure. I mean, the thing is, when I want to say this now, but I'm very happy that you joined the show. You're one of I don't follow 1,000 people who post a lot on LinkedIn, but you're very active on LinkedIn. You're very active on your website, on your blog, you write articles, you mentioned the next books. This podcast, by the time it's released, we will make sure that we have the pre-order link or even the order link if it's out of your new book. So that will be in there. And I thought when preparing, there's so many things, so many topics to tackle with you. Just looking at your CV, you could do 20 hours of podcast. So I'm very thankful for you coming in with a specific topic to discuss and specifically one that is pretty much never discussed. So again, Leon, thank you so much. For our guests, do you have any other thing that you want to share? Last words with us.
Thank you. The last word is, this is for founders. Don't think that investors don't understand all your bullshits you're writing in your pitch deck. We understand. So be careful. And if you have any claim, be careful that this claim is not your wishful and you have some proof behind. Maybe, and shape. It's very important how you shape your narrative. Shape narrative dynamically, not statically. Even you don't have any track record, say, last week we developed X, this week we developed Y. So show some dynamics in your company, that something happens all the time.
You need to show something is moving.
This is very important.
Right.
Yeah, something is moving if you don't have any traction yet. So shaping your narrative is very important. And that's why it's very important to hire advisor to make it right and raise very fast, not spend year on this and get out of the money.
Beautiful. Amazing last words. Thank you so much. And to everyone who listened, thank you so much. We'll see you in the next episode. Cheers. Thank you, Leon.
Thank you, Thibaut.